Hello, my name is Yael Splansky. I'm the Senior Rabbi of Holy Blossom Temple, Toronto's first synagogue, founded in 1856 with 17 families and flourishing today with 1,700 families. I also currently serve as the president of the Toronto Board of Rabbis, and I thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you today. I understand the United Church of Canada has a series of statements about Israel, the only Jewish state, and yet in recent years, there has not been enough conversation or partnership between the United Church of Canada and the Jewish community of Canada. In years gone by, this was a high priority for us both, and I am hopeful that we can return to creating opportunities for joint service, for common cause, and for learning with and from one another. The hateful expletive that was publicly lobbed against my friend and colleague Richard Marceau of CIJA, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, was shameful. He came to your General Council last month at your invitation. And yet perhaps we should thank the individual who said what he said, because now what was once hidden under the surface is out in the open. What does this incident reveal? A threshold has been crossed. What you thought was only an opinion about the Jewish state is also about Jews. I fear that deeply rooted and deeply troubling prejudices are in your house, which was built on a foundation of love. You can solve this problem if you recognize it, name it, and commit to fixing it. The leadership of the Canadian Jewish community, myself included, if you should invite us to join you in this effort, we will be there in a heartbeat. I urge you, please do not delay grappling with what from a distance seems to be an old-fashioned undercurrent of anti-Semitism wrapped up in new language of the day. What is at the root of it, I do not know. Is it theological? Is it historical? Is it cultural? I do not know. But you can find out. I am confident that hateful speech against any other minority group would not be tolerated in the United Church of Canada. You preach and pray in the language of love and acceptance. Why do you not extend the same care and concern to Jews, the most often targeted religious minority in Canada? You work and defend the vulnerable and protect the rights of Indigenous peoples to live and flourish in their own lands. Why do you not extend the same defense of the Jewish state, which is the remarkable restoration of the people of Israel to the land of Israel? If you choose to criticize the policies of the seated government of the State of Israel, you will be in the very good company of Jews of the diaspora as well as Israelis, for whom criticizing the government is a great national pastime. Right, left, and center, Israelis of all backgrounds are engaged citizens. In the cafes and in the courts, in the schools and in the streets, in the free press and in the free elections, around family dinner tables and boardroom tables, Israelis are extremely vocal about how their young country must live up to the ideals articulated in her Declaration of Independence. There it was written in 1948, as war was mounting from within and from outside of Israel's brand new borders. The State of Israel will be open for Jewish immigration and for the ingathering of the exiles. It will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisaged by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions. This founding document calls on Israel to expand its democracy to extraordinary limits. How many countries would allow members of its own parliament to speak against the very existence of the state? And yet, Israel's democracy makes room for that. So by all means, voice your opinions and let Israel's government know that you hold the Jewish state to higher standards than you hold other countries. I, for one, welcome that, because I believe the state of Israel is not like other states. The words of our biblical prophets make it very clear that Israel was never intended to be a state like other states. Israel was to be, in the words of Isaiah, a light unto the nations, a beacon of justice, a beacon of righteousness. Some say it is unfair and unjust to hold Israel up to higher standards, but I see how Israelis hold themselves up to higher standards day and night against many odds. So why shouldn't you and I do the same? The question is, how? The United Church is said to be an emblem of love. So let your opinions come from love and be delivered with love. Love for the Palestinian people, love for the Jewish people, love for the Christian, Druze, and Muslim citizens of Israel, love for the people of every race and religion from all over the world who come to study and work in Israel, and love for your Jewish friends and fellow citizens right here in Canada. Israel is not perfect. No country is. You don't have to look far to find unspeakable injustices right here in Canada. The charged vocabulary of apartheid state, genocide, boycott, divestment, and sanctions is hurtful. And although I believe it is not intended as such, it is also received by Jews as hateful. By misplacing these words to describe the painful conflict among the indigenous peoples of the region, turns powerful language into meaningless slogans, and forgive me, undermines your moral standing. Your call for BDS will not impact Israel's economy by even 1 degree. Your call for BDS will not advance the lives of Palestinians by even 1 inch. But it is very hurtful to the Jewish community of Canada. It is isolating and worrisome for your Jewish neighbors right here where you live. I know that in Canadian cities and small towns from coast to coast, there are some very strong friendships among synagogues and united churches, between rabbis and united ministers. In fact, tomorrow morning, Holy Blossom will be welcoming the confirmation class from a local united church. I admire their minister and teacher for writing this field trip into their curriculum. We do the same for our teens who visit churches and mosques as well as Orthodox synagogues. Tomorrow, our guests will not only see and hear the Torah that Jesus saw and heard, they will also see that the Jewish people are their neighbors in the here and now. We are not frozen in the pages of the Bible. We are not some character in Shakespeare's play. We are not strangers in a distant land. We are Canadians, like you, who contribute to this good country and are proud to make a home here. We would like to be your partners in bringing our city, our country, and indeed our world closer to the peace and harmony we all seek. Shalom.